Hello. It is me again, making a quick video on a couple of skills that I think are very important in today's world that I've talked about a long time ago, and I knew they were there, but I never made a video on it. So basically, the premise of this is, what is common sense? We talk about that a lot, and we say, man, sometimes that looking at some person, we're like, man, that person ain't got no common sense. But what is really common sense? I've had to break that concept down into certain skills and abilities. Okay, skills, abilities, whatever you want to call them. But these three, okay, are common sense to me for a regular grown-up person is the ability to have critical thinking, decision making, critical thinking, problem solving, and decision making. Those are the three linchpins of a functioning person with common sense. I'm going to explain those a little bit later, but I want you to grasp that in your mind real quick. The majority of the time, people are having basic issues in their life. In order to solve them and move forward in your regular everyday life, you need to be able to critically think, solve problems, and to make decisions. I mean, it's general common sense stuff, right? But how people do those things are the issue, that they don't actually have a skill that's developed. And I'll tell you right off the bat, the way that that skill is developed is by giving the person responsibilities. Common sense comes from responsibilities. The more responsibilities you have, the more stuff you have to do, the more stuff you got to figure out on your own, the more people are going to be affected by the decisions that you make. So you have to make good decisions. This is where it comes from. So people who don't really get responsibility early on in life have very poor critical thinking, problem solving, and decision making skills. Very poor, because they've never had to exercise that muscle. So now let me give you my definitions. Remember, these are my working definition. Now, what is a working definition compared to the regular definition? A working definition is something that you have put to the test that works for you. That's a definition of being a goddamn adult right there. That I can make my own definition of something because of how it affects me. So a working definition for me is how it affects my life and how I see it affect other people's lives. And I can define it based off of observation and implementation. All right. So critical thinking. Critical thinking to me is the ability to look at a situation, a person, objectively, not subjectively, not going, oh, well, I believe. I'm talking about objectively, taking everything away from what you know, being able to look at that situation, find the good and the bad, the issues and the great things, the problems and the benefits, objectively. That is critical thinking. Being able to, somebody comes up and say, man, I want to buy a car. Okay, cool. Let's look at it. How much money you got? What kind of car these are making critical thinking skills, putting ideas and getting information to make a decision coming up. But you got to critically think and be able to see everything first before you get to the next part, which is now problem solving. Now, how does problem solving connect with critical thinking? Well, if there's an issue, that's where the critical thinking started. Now that you found the good things and the bad things in the issue, you need to figure out which of the bad things you want to work on. Let's just say it's one thing. You have to figure out different ways to fix that problem. That is problem solving. Some people do brainstorming, they come up with different ideas, but coming up with different ideas to fix a problem or to maximize a benefit, that is problem solving in a nutshell for me, working definition. Now, last one, decision making. After you have figured out one, just take one of the ways that you're gonna decide. Now let's say you got a problem and you got 50 different things that you want to try to fix it. The actual decision making now making a decision comes into play, because now you have to weigh in all these possibilities, the benefits, the negativities, the possibilities in your current situation, and make the best choices and order them in a way that you can do, okay, I'm gonna try number one first, then this is number two, then number three, number four. That is decision making, taking all available options, making the best decision possible and working on that. And then continuing, take the next best option, next best option. Now, this is very, 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 very hard for people. And this is common sense. You're driving down the road, boom, your tire blows out. You have an issue. Critical thinking. Okay, I could call AAA where I need to go ahead and get the car off the road. These are all part of critical thinking things. Okay, now I don't have a spare. So what could I do? Now you're going into more problem solving. So you look at the thing objectively. I can call AAA right now. I can do this. I can do this. I can do this. But my main thing is I got to be safe. Get us off the road. Bad things could happen right now if I stay out here. It's getting dark. Those are all critical thinking. Now you have issues. You take one of those issues that you have and you work on it. Okay, so right now I don't have a spare, so I need to call somebody to come. Let me check my phone. Got service. Okay, I can call AAA. I ain't got no damn AAA service. I'm gonna call a tow truck. Okay, let me look on here. Google tow service. Find a Google. This is now you're coming into figuring out. Okay, I got all these different tow services to deal with. Now you went through problem solving. Now you got to make a decision. Who am I gonna call? Who am I gonna call first? Okay, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna call these people first. While I'm calling them, I'm gonna go ahead and do some other stuff happen. This is all what we call common sense. But because people haven't been given situations where they're responsible for stuff, they don't know how to do these things. I was lucky also being in the military where I was tasked to multitask, period. I had to listen to 5 different radios, watch a screen with thousands of dots on it, decide which ones are good, which ones are bad, while talking to my coworkers, while manipulating 80 different switches with 3 different functions each. That taught me how to multitask and also how to do that critical thinking, problem solving, and decision making. It amplified it. So the linchpin to all of this, and there's one skill that I've learned that people really hate, but it's the linchpin of all of it. It's research. Because see, in order to have critical thinking, you have to have some goddamn information. In order to get information, you have to search for that. So if you have an issue going on, okay, your car is making a funny sound. You have to learn how to find what could be the problem. What are the benefits and outcome? To find that, you need to be able to research. Now you found what it could be. You still have to be able to now look at those problems, all the different issues that you have, and figure out which one's the greatest, which one's the most important, which one's the most pressing. Research. Then making a decision. Same thing. You have to go through and find stuff. Research. People hate to research. It's a bane of their existence. But this is why when anytime there's new information that pops up, you should be in the know of it, whatever you're doing. That's part of your research. You should be able to know if you're a business owner, who are your top competitors? What is your ideal customer and what do they want? This all deals with research. What are the best looking emails you're going to be able to send out? What are the best newsletters? It deals with research. Not most times people just want to take something and do that because it's easy, or they'll do something like this. Well, what do you think is the best? Blah, blah, blah. What that does is it take the research out of their hands and they just go, okay, well, I'll go watch that one video that you told me. No. This is why people ask these questions. What is the best? How can I best do this? What's the most effective this? What that does is it takes away their researching. And researching is the number one thing you need to do because it builds you up. Because while you're researching one thing, you'll find out 10 other things. And it makes you a better, well-rounded, informed person for the next thing that pops up. You have information on it already to start that critical thinking. Most people go from one stiff, solid idea to next idea, one problem to the next. Whereas if they were actually expanding their research ability, anytime I'm learning something new, the first thing I do is I Google it, and I'll have probably 10 or 15 YouTube videos up about it. I'll ask the people who I know that are actually involved in it, get personal recommendations and stuff also. But you have to research, and research deals with what? Writing. If I ever talk to you, or you ever talk to somebody who knows more than you, and you're not writing stuff down, you're not actually researching. You're just hoping that that information will stick into your brain and that you're going to do the right thing. Same thing when you go watch a video that is on a subject that you want. If you're not taking notes, you're not figuring out the key points in what this person's saying, really what you're doing is wasting time, and you're hoping. You're not doing no research. You're not really developing those skills of critical thinking, problem solving, and decision making, because all of that deals with research. You have to study. As it says in the Bible, study to show thyself approved, a workman rightly dividing the word of truth. Start studying, researching. Use those 3 common sense skills: critical thinking, problem solving, decision making, and it will greatly improve your life. So that's it. Boss out. Talk to you later.